Let's talk unit circle. The unit circle, which we've kind of already mentioned thus far, is when the radius is 1 for the trig functions, which makes things way easier, because then sine is y, cosine is x, and tangent is y over x. Since r is 1, it just kind of goes away. So we're going to use the unit circle to find these ratios. Now to do that, we're going to make a couple points on this unit circle and label these. This is going to be our 30 degrees, or pi 6. This one's 45 degrees, or pi fourths. And this one is 60 degrees, or pi thirds. And I'm going to show you on this little triangle right here, if this is our 30, 60, 90, then that long side is our root 3 over 2, and the short side is 1/2, using those 30, 60, 90 right triangles we talked about earlier. So our x value is root 3 over 2, y value is 1/2. And then that way I can kind of shorten it and write it as a coordinate point instead of the triangles. If I did the same thing with this one, with my 45, 45, 90, I know that's 1, then these would both be 1 over root 2, or root 2 over 2. Either one, really. Whichever one you memorized when you did this. And our 60 degrees is just our 30 degrees, but flipped, because now this is the short side, and this is the long side. So now the x value is 1/2, the y value is root 3 over 2. The cool thing about this next part is I can then flip these over, and this one is going to be this point, 1/2 root 3 over 2. The second one is 1 over root 2, 1 over root 2. I'm just reflecting these points across, and root 3 over 2, 1/2. And now I just need to go through and add my negatives, because this is quadrant 2, which means all those x values are negative. I can then reflect these down. So this one would be my root 3 over 2, 1/2. Reflect that one down, 1 over root 2, 1 over root 2. And reflect this one down, 1/2 root 3 over 2. Because it's in quadrant 3, both x and y is negative. Last quadrant. My drawings have gotten crappier and crappier. Sorry about that, guys. 1/2 root 3 over 2. Reflect that one down, or that one across. That one is 1 over root 2, 1 over root 2. And then reflect that one down or across. Should end up with the same thing, root 3 over 2, 1/2. And here my y's are negative in quadrant 4, so I add those negatives in. And this is almost all of the unit circle. We're just missing these 4 points. Our radius is 1. So this one will be 1, 0, because I went 1, positive 1 in the x direction. This one will be negative 1, 0, because I went negative 1 in the x direction. This one, 0, 1, because I went positive 1 in the y direction. And 0, negative 1, because I went 1 down in the y direction. Those are all the points on our unit circle. And here's why the unit circle is nice. I can then come over here to A, sine of pi 6. Well, I know that sine is my y value. So I'm just going to go to pi 6 right here, look at my y value. Hey, that's 1/2. And I'm done. B, sine is my y value at 0. So I go over to 0, my y value is 0. And I'm done. Now I want cosine. Cosine is my x value at 0. So I go over here to my 0, pull out my x value, is 1. Sine of pi halves. So I'm going to go to my pi halves. Sine is my y value. So my y value there is 1. Cosine of pi halves, cosine is my x value. So at pi halves, grab my x value at 0. Sine of pi, so I go to my pi. Sine is my y value, so my y value at pi is 0. Now tangent of pi. Tangent is y over x. So I'm going to go to pi. My y value is 0. X value is -1. 0 divided by -1 is 0. Box all these just because it makes me feel more orderly. Sine of 3 pi halves. Go down here. 3 pi halves. And actually, I'm going to have you pause the video, try h through k, and just remember that j and k, that negative, just means go clockwise instead of counterclockwise. And then I will play the video in just a sec and show you what the answers all are for h through k. Okay, here we go. We should get -1 and 0, shouldn't have been too bad. Negative pi would be going pi in the negative direction, so we end up at pi. Negative pi halves would be right here, so 3 pi halves, and our tangent would be y over x, which would be -1 over 0. Can't divide by 0, so it's undefined. In the next video, we will talk about using the Pythagorean theorem with trigonometry.